You're listening to Catholic Chicago. Ahead, the Archdiocese of Chicago brings you programs about the people, events, and issues that touch our lives. Welcome to Catholic Chicago.
When I listen to my heart, I can hear you whisper, asking me lovingly to come and follow you. Here I am. Did I hear you call my name? Here I am, as you will.
Good morning. This is Sister Lavina Francis Pamet. I'm a Franciscan Sister to Sacred Heart. I am the coordinator for Religious Vocations Ministries, Office for Religious in the Archdiocese of Chicago. And I also am the coordinator for the Chicago Archdiocesan Vocation Association. The show is Dare to Love, and Dare to Love tries to feature and put a spotlight on different consecrated men and women, as well as those who have a passion for vocation ministry and discernment. Today, our guest is Sister Dina Bato. And good morning, Sister Dina.
Good morning, Sister Lavina. How are you?
I am doing great. You know, it was just yesterday that we've been dealing with like more wintry type thing, but you know, March is here, springtime, is here, and it's Lenten season, and so I really welcome it. I just feel like, yeah, I know I'm gonna say, oh, I wish the cold weather was back in the summer, but right now I'm gonna enjoy spring. How about you?
I totally agree with you. I love this season because it gives me an opportunity to spend some time in reflection, and to ask myself, how can I grow to become more like Christ and who Christ has created me to be? Um, life sometimes gets lifey, and so I'm grateful for these seasons that just really remind us to just kind of pause, and learn to just be and to listen, to the spirits calling, to the spirits promptings, and to not push but be led by the spirit.
That is so true. And Sister Dina, so you're a Sister of Providence. You're also in Chicago. And also you're, not so new, but I guess I would still consider you new as the new director of membership for the NRVC, which is the National Religious Vocation Association. So we'll talk a little bit more about that later. But now we just want to meet you. Who are you? Tell us about you, your community, vocation story, anything you can tell us. We're eager to hear about you.
Oh, okay. Well, as Sister Lavina said, my name is Sister Dina Bato. I'm a Sister of Providence of St. Mary at the Woods. My community was founded by Saint Mother Theodore Guerin in 1840. And she was originally from France, and she has an indomitable reliance on the providence of God, indomitable trust in the providence of God. And so, before I entered religious life, I grew up in Virginia Beach, Virginia. I am a Navy brat. My dad was in the military for about 20 years, but overall spent a good 48 years working with the military. So, um, and I graduated from Virginia Tech in 1999 with an accounting degree. So, but yeah, throughout my life, I had always wondered, what God, what is it that you're calling me to do, or more so to be? But the questions didn't really actually start until I was in college. Um, I remember I remember being part of a non-denominational group in college, and honestly, truthfully, I was about to leave the Catholic Church, but something within me was saying, "No, you're going to stay. You have to stay. There's something out there for you that you are called to do." When I was, I do believe it was in my senior year of college, I was part of, I had a class that was in management, and we had to compile a vision statement and a mission statement for ourselves. Never before had I actually really thought about it. And So I spent some time in prayer, and we had to think like 60 years into the future. Granted, I was 20. So what do I want to have had accomplished by the time I was 80? And so
That's quite a lifetime.
I
Sorry.
was, say that again, I'm sorry?
That's quite a lifetime. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
know, right?
that's very interesting. So when you're 80, you're imagining your life. Okay. All right.
Yeah, I'm imagining my life and something. I know my teacher says, think big. So I was thinking, okay, let's think big. Nobel Prize for Literature, Nobel Peace Prize, all of that stuff. I mean, for some reason, it was like I love to write, and also I love to read, and I always had this notion of like there's got to be more to life than just, the almighty book. So so pretty much like I also thought that I couldn't see myself, settled down, married, even though it was something that I had to seriously discern. But really, when I was 20, I was like, yeah, can I see myself married? I don't know. But I was thinking like the lives that I impact, those are my children. Granted, I'm 20 years old. I have no idea what was going to happen, whether or not any of the stuff's going to come to fruition. I mean, even thought about pursuing a master's degree in theology or something like that. And I was in a business school. Um, so the mission statement that came up and that I still have in my possession 25 years later was to break new ground in the Christian mission.
Wow.
That has never stopped, you know, but I didn't necessarily know where that was going to take me. So after graduating from college, I did some work in accounting. I worked for a franchising company for Taco Bell, which was my first job. And again, the thought of like there's got to be something more to life than the almighty buck. Now, I'm not trying to downgrade or degrade any sort of like profession, but for some reason, for me, there was something more.
Hmm.
So, um,
It sounds
long
like,
story short,
yeah, just 1 minute, because I think it's important for young people, especially, and not just young people, but people who are discerning. This is one point
mhm,
I heard you say. There's got to be something more, and that it's not necessarily
mhm,
that you're not happy with what you had, right, Sister Dina, but
yeah,
something more.
yeah,
So there was a restlessness in your heart. You
there
didn't
was,
know what else. Okay, sorry to
yeah,
interrupt, but I just had to kind of like stop there and say, okay, pay attention here, folks, because that's very important. Okay, so get the so to have the long story short, then what happened?
then so I ended up landing an opportunity, not so much landing an opportunity, but I got an opportunity to spend a year of prayer and service at a Catholic church in Newport News, Virginia. How I actually got there, that's an interesting story. I was walking around, quote unquote, aimlessly at the local mall, and all of a sudden certain aspirations started coming up. I mean, youth ministry, music ministry, social ministry started coming up, and I was just like, wow, I have no idea where this is gonna go, how I'm gonna do this. So I'm heading home, and then something says, turn into your parish parking lot. And this is a parish in Virginia Beach. So I ended up talking um, with the parish secretary, and I shared with her my aspirations. She gives me a flyer for this program called the Life Community in Newport News, Virginia, where young adults want to spend a year of their lives in prayer and service at a church with the church. So this is in Newport News, Virginia, at Our Lady of Mount Carmel Church. And the house that we lived in was actually on the church property. So I was like, the house was in between a parish school and a Dominican convent. And so at most there were like three of us in this house. And so we all each discerned, and we never met each other up until this point. But we had this mission of just wanting to spend some time in discernment of like, God, where are you calling me? What is it that you want me to do? Um, So I got involved in youth ministry, social ministry, and music ministry, amongst other things. I mean, my hands pretty much like were dabbled into practically every aspect of church life. And so I got to know a lot of people at the parish, and many times, independent of each other, they would ask my housemates and I if we ever thought of becoming Catholic nuns, you know, or Catholic sisters. And my housemates were like, it's not in the cards for me. And I was like, I never thought about it before in my life. And the thought would just never leave.
So people
Which
ask
is
you.
very interesting because we like pretty much lived like Catholic sisters. I mean, we spent time in prayer,
Uh-huh.
in community, and in ministry, and basically like trying to live out that mission of like, discerning
Wow.
like, what is God calling us to.
Yeah.
We prayed together, we recreated together. I was like, my gosh, why don't we just become Catholic nuns? Um, so
But how did
so
you
pretty much,
how did you meet the? I mean, your community is in Indiana, Virginia
yeah.
Beach, Indiana. How did that happen?
Well, actually, a sister of Providence, Sister Carolyn Bouchard, accepted a position as the director of healing ministries over at Our Lady of Mount Carmel Church.
In Virginia
And
Beach?
so it was very interesting because she was there for like a good 6 years.
Okay.
So I was actually at Newport News, Virginia for about 7 years. So 1 year in that as a full-time volunteer, but then 6 years later, for the next 6 years, like still heavily involved in church, but I was working for as a financial analyst for a public transportation organization. So, that nudge, that question of like, do you think you could be ever thought about becoming a Catholic sister? I was like, I don't know. I mean, I visited a mother house like in 2002, and I was like, I was so ready to say yes, sign me up. And they're like, Dina, it doesn't work that way. It doesn't. Like you need a spiritual director. I mean, granted, I had priests as spiritual directors,
Mm-hmm.
but then somebody says you need a Catholic sister who's a spiritual director. So
Mm.
someone said, Sister Carol's a spiritual director, and she's a sister, so maybe you can talk with her. So I asked her to take me on as a directee. She goes, yeah, that would be great. So we started our director-directee relationship, I do believe in 2003.
Mm-hmm.
And pretty much I needed someone to just kind of listen to me,
Mm-hmm.
because I honestly felt like up until this point, I was like being talked at and given recommendations of like what to do with my life. But then I'm like, is there someone who's willing to really listen? Without judgment, without, telling me what I should and shouldn't do.
Yeah.
So she just listened. And then as I was talking, she must have seen something. She must have seen something.
Mm-hmm.
Because 2 years later, she goes, would you like to visit St. Mary the Woods and
Ah.
witness the final profession of a sister of Providence? I said, sure. Granted, we're in Newport News, Virginia, and St. Mary the Woods, Indiana is in St. Mary the Woods, Indiana. So
Yeah.
it's like
Right.
14-hour drive, which is nothing new to me
Mm.
because I mean, growing up, my family would drive to Chicago all the time
Ah.
without in one fell swoop. Sister Carolyn and it was like a marathon
Yeah.
and we spent 7 hours on the road, spent the night over in Louisville, and then I got to know more of her story, and I was like, oh my gosh, wow, this woman's for real.
Well, this
It's
really,
it's like
yeah, yeah, because
she
that's
told
so
me her story.
exciting. Yeah. Um,
Yeah, it was very exciting.
Yeah, I just wanted
So
to kind of like give you in a few moments we're gonna take a break, but when we come back and folks listen to this story because this is where discerners usually find out until you get there you won't know where home is, and the
mhm.
heart finds it. And so we'll be back, continue a little bit with your vocation story and then your current ministry and the exciting world of NRVC. We'll be back.
Guide me faithfully to find a home in you. Here I am. Did I hear you call my name? Here I am.
Adults make all the difference in the lives of adolescents. Catholic Charities understands this, and our mentorship programs provide a free opportunity for young adults to spend time with volunteers who genuinely care about them. This program is ideal for youth aged 9 through 12 who may need support navigating the challenges of childhood and early adolescence. Our amazing volunteers serve as friends who help youth recognize their strengths and empower them to reach their full potential. Catholic Charities conducts a thorough background check on every volunteer, and our program coordinator closely monitors and supports every relationship. Mentoring is a fun after-school program that can help young adults build confidence and enjoy fun activities with their peers, too. To learn more, visit CatholicCharities.net or call 312-655-7970 in Cook County and 847-782-4224 in Lake County. We're connecting youth with great role models. Join us today.
Folks, you probably know that on March 13th, we celebrate the 10th anniversary of the election of Pope Francis as the Bishop of Rome. Ever since his election, he has asked
Catholic Charities Family Self-Sufficiency.
And so we are joining in an effort asking Catholics on March 13th to say 10 Hail Marys for him. You can learn more about this and register your name at archchicago.org. I encourage all of you to participate in this support of the Holy Father as he celebrates a decade of service to the people of God.
Charity's founding mission. For more than 100 years, we have met people and families where they are, serving anyone in need, regardless of their faith, gender, race, or ethnicity. As our world absorbs the economic, political, and social aftershocks of the pandemic, 50% or more of the 6 million people living in Cook and Lake counties have little or no savings. They are a paycheck away from zero. We are deeply grateful to everyone in the Catholic Charities community who partners with us to alleviate the suffering of the people we serve and offer them a better path forward. We are witnessing a message of mercy and hope to a world very much in need. Learn more at CatholicCharities.net.
Speak, my God, I am ready to begin. Here I am, I come to follow you.
Good morning again. This is Sister Lavina Francis Pamet. This is Dare to Love show, and today my guest is Sister Dina Bato. We were talking about her vocation story. Sister Dina is a Sister of Providence of St. Mary of the Woods in Indiana, and she's coming from Virginia Beach, and then she traveled last update. She ended up with her vocation story traveling all those 14 hours to Indiana to witness a profession of vows. And so, what happened, Sister Dina?
Well, when we got to when Sister Caroline and I got to St. Mary of the Woods, it was the first time I met other Sisters of Providence, but not so much meeting sisters first, but I saw the buildings, I saw the landscape, I saw the grounds, and it was just absolutely beautiful. The first building that I saw was LaFair Hall, which is the dormitory for St. Mary of the Woods College, which is on St. Mary of the Woods property. And so I was like, wow, that building's phenomenal. I was just really floored. But then when I got to see the sisters, like very real, it's like you can tell they really love each other. They really care about each other. And so I got a chance to know the vocation director, who was Sister Jenny Howard at the time. But yeah, I thought it was just really, really awesome. What was beautiful about the liturgy was music is very, very important to the Sisters of Providence. And it's very near and dear to my heart. I mean, I've been playing the piano. 8 years of formal lessons of piano, and was in praise bands for like youth groups, praise band when I was in college. I do like and I dabble with the guitar, so it's like I just absolutely love music. So when I saw that they were like there are pianos everywhere, I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. And so just that ceremony was beautiful, and it was very much alive for me, very much alive. And so after that, I started to develop. After that time at St. Mary the Woods, I got to spend, connect more with the vocation director, and she invited me to a come and see in 2006. And it just happens to be the weekend of my birthday, so I was like, oh wow. Um, and and it was just like, we got a chance to see, Mother Theodore's like casket, because I think she was on the verge of being canonized that year. And so I got a chance to meet other discerners and other women in initial formation, which I just totally loved, because I was like, I don't know too many young nuns. I didn't know too many young nuns at the time. And so I was just moseying right along, and I was just like, I can't not pay attention to this. In fact, around this time, I was involved in young adult ministry in the Newport News area, and we would do faith sharing and every Tuesday night, and we really had that sense of community, which I really, really hungered for. But I was just like, that's what I want. But then this can't last very long, what I was involved in, because it's like, people who are married, who are single, who are like, they don't feel called to religious life. But whenever I talk with them, they're like, geez, Dina, we're surprised you haven't applied yet. You know, there was another guy that discerned priesthood, and so he actually asked me to be one of his references. And one day he said to me, we were talking at Our Lady of Mount Carmel parking lot, and I was like, yeah, if ever we become a sister, he goes, and he stops me right there. He goes, Gina, what is this if? It's when. And I was like, okay. So I go to a come and see weekend in 2006. I come to a discernment weekend in 2006 as well. So spring as well as fall. But then spring of 2007, I really felt this inkling of just like, yeah, I feel this inkling to apply. Because also I think during one of those times, during one of the stretches, I think it was in the fall of 2006, there was a big picture of Mother Theodore from that was at Rome in Rome, and this is around her interim shrine, and this was in the church of the Immaculate Conception at the Mother House. I'm sitting there by myself, and I'm looking at her picture, and anywhere you can go into the church, it's as if she's looking right at you. I'm sitting there in silence, and all of a sudden I feel this notion of like she's speaking to me, my daughter, you're home. And I was like, where did that come from?
That's it. That's
And
that message that you're home.
yeah,
Did you
there's
know it
that
then?
message.
Yeah. Did you know it then? Right then?
No, but not at that point. But what was interesting was like we went to an off-site. This was in 2007. It was April 13 to 15, 2007. We're at a ministry site visit with in West Terre Haute, I do believe. And so here's Sister Jenny saying, Dina, after the site, do you want to meet me in my office? And we could talk. I was like, yeah, sure. So we go back to the mother house. We drive down that same road where it's like when we first drove through the woods in 2005. And I saw the prayer hall again, and I was like, I started to cry. I started to cry because I was like, oh my gosh. So, and I'm crying in the vocation director's office. And she goes, Dina, I think it's time for the application. I was like, what's very interesting, because I was just about to ask you. And so what's very interesting is like, so I go home. So I have the application. It takes me a year it takes a year to finish. And I'm here just thinking like, should I do this? Should I really do this? I say April 13th to the 15th. because day after I came home, it was a Virginia Tech tragedy. I was like, someone's invading my home. I was there for 4 years.
Mm.
And so I had this notion of like, do this, because you might not necessarily get another chance. A parishioner of Our Lady of Mount Carmel lost a cousin of hers in that tragedy. I've walked into Norris Hall. I've walked into West Amber Johnston. And I was just like, this is so surreal. So
Wow,
I
that's
was like,
really profound.
I had to do something.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I had to do something. I might not have another chance, but it's very interesting because it takes a year for this thing for you to conclude the application.
So let me just interrupt you. We have 2 minutes before we end the show. This is such an interesting story, but if you would like to send a message to everyone, and especially to those who are going through discernment, and then probably at the end of it, if you would like to do like a short blessing, and especially, you know, if there's anything that you want to know, to let people know about NRVC, this is your chance. So in a minute and a half, what is it that is your message?
I would say be open, be teachable, pay attention to how God has worked in your life. You know, it's like, and there are signs. The question is, what's going on in here? What's going on in your heart? Pay attention to that. Pay attention to your body, everything about you, because that'll help you in your discernment. And, you know, I am just so in awe of vocation ministers who journey with others in their desire to learn what it is that God is calling them to. So, you know, please pray for vocation ministers. I mean, we've got opportunities for vocation ministers to network with each other and grow in their professional development. You know, all of our programming you can find on nrvc.net. And so there's opportunities for people who want to discern vocations, get in touch with vocation ministers. And vocation ministers, it's like you're not alone. We're hungering for you. People are hungering to tap into your wisdom for you to journey with them, because the harvest is plentiful, but the laborers are few. And so I pray that the Lord grant us laborers in this harvest, because it's ripe with people who are hungry to find what it is that they're being called to. There's also Vision Vocation Network. So discerners, check that out. There's a wealth of information out there as well. So Vision Vocation Network. So yeah, I mean, I didn't mean to like share all of this. I mean, I had this list of things that I wanted to say, but I'm going back to don't push, be led.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much. Thank you for that beautiful story. And let's continue to pray for one another. Blessings to all who are discerning. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Just be open. And once again, we would like to just thank you, Sister Dina. Thank you for that beautiful vocation story and for the wisdom that you have shared with us. God bless everybody.
Thank you.
Sometimes I wonder what tomorrow brings. Give me the grace to love and to be faithful, to be more